What's going on, Penny Boys and Gals? What's going on, alumni and premium members alike? I know this is usually our Penny Boys University alumni stream in the alumni area of the Discord, 5 p.m. Eastern, which we do every week. But this week, we're talking about Forex, which is a new concept for here in Penny Boys. We haven't really done any classes on Forex before. So we decided to have this one open to all of our premium members, not just the alumni. I am joined, as always, on these Thursday 5 p.m. streams with none other than the crypto degen himself and apparently Forex expert, BTCJ. How are we doing, Jay?
Hey, what's up, man? I wouldn't call myself a forex expert, but I do dabble. I do dabble in all the markets, stocks, crypto, and forex as well. And I
So,
think
crypto
it's
degen and Forex dabbler, then BTCJ.
pretty much, pretty much. We can go over some very some helpful insights that might get you also further in all the trading that you do, also stock trading. So I'm ready for this, dude. Thanks for I was gonna say thanks for having me again, but
You always say that.
actually actually it's my stream, right? So
It's your stream. Yeah, this
good
is
to
your this is
good to
your
have
show.
you.
I'm just
Good
here
to have you.
to do the intro, I
Nice.
guess. But no, I do have some questions. Just when it comes to Forex in general, because I know a lot of people are like brand new to Forex and don't even know what it means. What's like the basic definition of Forex? I know for some people they think it's trading currency. Is it just currency, or does it go a little bit farther than that when it comes to Forex?
Basically, when we're trading about forex, right, we're talking about the currency exchange rate of two currencies, two global world currencies denominated to each other. So it's always a pairing. It's like if you are to trade a stock, then you trade your stock against the dollars. If you trade forex, you always have pairs. So you have the pair of, for example, the euro to the dollar, or the Australian dollar, or Japanese yen, and basically how these move. And yeah, it's a very very liquid market. Lots of traders, lots of volume. Like forex is, I believe, the biggest traded market apart from maybe the U.S. stock market. Right? It's a ton of
Mm,
volume, and it makes a ton of sense, in my opinion, for your whole financial life to take a look at what, at least, at the very least, your own local currency is doing in the world. So for me personally, that is the euro, right? I have to pay my taxes or my rent or whatever. It's all in euro. So I want to be very well aware of the fact that is the euro what I'm paying with, is that holding up well against the dollar, is that weak against the dollar? Because if I know it's weak, for example, then I could simply hedge myself by holding some dollars, maybe in US dollar token on a crypto exchange, so that I'm not as exposed to my local currency being weak. And for you all, like the most people that will be here, they will have a normal local currency is the US dollar, right? So you're actually in luck, because that is what the whole world is looking at. And just as with crypto, you would have like your godfather chart would be Bitcoin, right? Everybody looks at Bitcoin first to know about the general health of the crypto market. Well, in Forex, this overlord chart is the DXY, which is the US dollar index. The Dixie is the ticker on TradingView, and the DXY basically symbolizes the dollar strength. So if this chart goes up, that means that other currencies around the world, such as the pound or the yen or the euro, are going down in value to the dollar. So this is something important. For example, right, if at any point in the future we're going to come to some levels for the dollar, and maybe we're going to hit some resistance, and maybe that is going to be the top for the DXY, and the dollar is going to trade back down, then also if you're working with dollars yourself, you might want to really look to hedge yourself by maybe holding a couple of foreign currencies, or by trading these markets, so that you don't have to, like, if you are not aware of these markets, then you're completely just dependent on how good the economic situation in your region of the world is at a particular time. But if you can trade these markets, then it does not really matter, because then you can always just make sure that you are in the things that are the strongest when it makes sense. And the dollar exchange index is just a chart. It's the main chart on Forex, but it's also a chart that really helps out a ton with just deriving macroeconomic like context to as to where the market is going in the whole. Also the US stock market and the stock market. So typically the Dixie, and this is kind of the main chart that I would like to invite everybody to put that on your watch list. Keep an eye on the Dixie because this is going to help you in the bigger picture understand if the market is essentially bullish or bearish also in the stock market. Typically, right, the Dixie goes up, that means dollar increases in value. That basically means a couple of things. So for one, if the Dixie goes up in value, that means that other world currencies, such as the euro or the pound or the yen, will trade down against the dollar and the money will flow in the dollar. So you can maybe look at taking a short position on a foreign currency to the dollar. But also, if the dollar goes up, that is typically a sign that the market is in a risk off mode. If the dollar goes up, then stocks have a very difficult time. It's not that it's impossible, right? And some stocks can just do things on their own. But generally speaking, if there is upwards pressure on the DXY, it becomes more difficult for stocks such as especially like the blue chips, like the Apple and the Google and Nvidia, what have you. It becomes more difficult to get to higher price targets if the Dixie is also moving up because if dollar increases in value, then typically you need less dollars to buy stocks with. If the dollar increases and if the dollar decreases in value, so if the Dixie nukes down, the dollar becomes worth less, then typically that means that stocks have an easier time appreciating in value.
Hmm.
So before you do anything, and before you want to think about trading Forex, it's just already very good to keep an eye on the Dixie and to see is this actually a bullish or a bearish chart. If it's a bullish chart, I know that the stocks are going to have a more difficult time running up. And if the Dixie is coming down, that is typically an environment where you go into risk on assets, such as, for example, if you trade crypto altcoins, they do really very well if the Dixie nukes down. If dollar decreases in value, all these altcoins appreciate in value to the dollar, and then that gives you an easier time deriving a bias in the market. So that's already the first step is to put the DXY on your watch list, and we can go over this also a bit more in detail.
Yeah, I have a question for you because I know with these stocks or even like with crypto, but there's a lot of catalysts that where we as traders who've been in the market for a while, we're very aware of. Like if reverse split happens, or even like a catalyst is not as wild as reverse split. A CEO getting fired or layoffs or what inflation, whatever it may be. I'm curious, what are some catalysts that would drive the US dollar or just any currency up or down, when it comes to just either global or just in the US or any kind of like what catalyst do you usually look for when it comes to the currency?
Well, I'm not really into news, right? I'm also the way that I trade the Dixie or that I look at this chart or thinking, well, is it bullish or bearish? I'm just looking at support and resistance levels and what the trend is telling me. Until that changes, I'm just respecting what the chart is telling me. So, for example, I have no if I just look at the dollar at the moment, this is a monthly time frame chart. It's looking bullish, right? We've been making higher highs and higher lows. So I'm just expecting the trend to continue until I have a clear sign that it's not. It's not really that I follow any macroeconomic news or that I follow like economic news at all. Like I don't do any of that. But I do keep an eye on these charts and I know when important support levels break, for example, on this chart, I will immediately know, right? For example, if we take a look at this chart, we have a very important like monthly area right here on this red candle. The moment that that level falls out, I immediately know that if dollar is going to nuke below the support level, I know that the euro is going to increase in value to the dollar and that there's going to be a good longing opportunity on euro. I also know that if the dollar loses support here, right? Think about it. If the dollar loses support and really goes down and you're holding dollars in your bank account, that is typically the time, well, without being financial advice, but that is a better time to really allocate your dollars into assets. Because if your dollar is going to depreciate, you better run somewhere to assets like stocks, for example, that will then hedge against downside pressure on the dollar. As long as the dollar is going up, right? And it's more difficult for stocks to run up as well, and you don't really need to spend all your money on the markets and on equity. If the dollar goes up, you better keep some basically.
Hmm. That's a really good point. I love, having all the different point of views, all, yourself and the different analysts. And I know Swing Bull also, used to dabble in Forex, and me and him were talking, and he plans on doing a class as well. One of these weeks in the alumni area of his own. And he was saying how, for his class, he's talking about inflation and how that has to do with the dollar, and like all these other catalysts that have to do with like the news and like the government and just the economic just outlook of America and just other countries. So it's interesting how with him, he's looking at all the news and all that. With you, it's strictly the the chart and the candles and all that. Big Frosty said in the chat that they did some forex trading before on Pocket Option. I'm curious, what are some platforms that are good for forex trading if someone wants to just maybe dabble or get into it?
Well, personally, I trade Forex on an exchange called BingX. BingX is a non KYC exchange, and basically everybody can get involved in that. All it takes is to set up a VPN. And if they ask you, are you from a region, are you from the United States, you say no, and you just keep your VPN on, you just trade happily forever. Like I know many, many people that trade on BingX. So that's a good platform to trade it on. I'm not personally on Forex specific platforms because I don't do quite enough of trading to really get into that. For me, BingX is good enough. All the trades that you can take there are like you just keep USDT in your account, and that is what is used to take your trades with. So if you're if you're doing crypto trading, that's the same thing. It's the same kind of platform. So BingX is where I do that. Primex BT is another good platform for like stock, and all of these platforms that I'm naming, such as BingX and PrimeXBT, they let you trade Forex, but they also let you trade, for example, gold and indices and so on. So those two would be kind of my preferred ones, BingX and PrimeXBT. And the rest, I couldn't give you that much advice as to the best Forex broker, to be honest. For me, that has worked well.
Yeah, no, that's honestly, that's kind of like what I was looking for. For someone who's just looking to dabble. Like obviously, we're not gonna,
So I'll, I'll,
a
I'll
lot
write
of
it
us are
down on
gonna,
my chart here.
yeah, like it's not like we're all gonna become expert forex traders tomorrow and like try to be doing all that. So it's good to know some like just like being an expert to some place you can dabble on.
Yeah, and it's very easy to make an account. Again, you don't need to provide personal documents or whatever. Just the non KYC exchange. That's
We need
nice.
a class on VPNs. I was having trouble trying to figure out how that worked the other day. Um,
Yeah, VPNs is truly a subject in and of itself, and I personally am of the opinion that I wouldn't want to be on internet not on a VPN. Basically,
huh,
I'm always on a VPN wherever I am. I find that I just feel safer that way.
that's interesting. We should definitely
Always
go over
changing
that one of these
locations
days.
also.
So, what are some pros and cons? When it comes to like because I know there's so many different types of trading. Some people prefer crypto over stocks, some prefer forex over stocks or crypto. What are some reasons that people might just be forex traders, and what are some reasons that people like yourself, decide not to dabble too much in forex?
So Forex itself is a nice market because it's a very liquid market, and especially you need to know which pairs are worth trading, and especially if you are a beginner in Forex, you want to make sure that you trade the pairings, the currency pairings where the most amount of volume is at, because that's is simply the best. You get the best fills, the lowest spreads, it's just the most reliable. So what you should focus on if you want to dabble in forex is the currency pairs, and I'm also gonna write them down on my chart here. So Euro USD is basically the most traded currency pair, right? It's the euro, what I work with here in Europe, in comparison to the value of the dollar. That is the most traded. Another good pair to trade is the British pound to the dollar, so GBP to USD. And then maybe the third one that you could take a look at is the Japanese yen, and that would be GPY to the US dollar or to the pound. But basically, euro to dollar and pound to dollar is what I would focus on, especially if I'm a beginner in forex. I would focus on always trading one specific currency to the dollar and not making it more complicated by trading foreign currencies against each other. That's of course also possible, and if you know how to read a chart, that's fine. But just starting off with Euro USD or GBP USD makes sense because all you need to do to trade those two pairings is know where this chart is going, the Dixie. If the Dixie is going up, then Euro USD goes down and GBP USD goes down, and that's always the case. If Dixie trades down, then Euro USD and GBP USD they trade up. That's always the case. So Euro USD and GBP USD they pretty much move into the same direction at most to all of the times, and the opposite direction of this chart. So if you could just look at the Dixie, and I'm not trading DXY myself, that's also an index that you could trade. It has way less volume, so I don't really like that. But I like to just, if I'm playing Forex, this is the chart where I need to have an idea of okay, am I going up or down? And then without even looking at the specific Euro USD and GBP USD charts, I know, okay, is it a good time to go long or short, basically. So those two tickers and focusing on doing your technical analysis just on the Dixie to know whether the dollar is strong or not. That's pretty much the simplest way to start getting involved and then trading on a platform such as BingX. That's personally what I do. And I also provide some calls on Forex in Titan trading. And I'm more than welcome to just copy and paste that here in Penny Boys if I know that some people are interested and potentially want to get involved in that as well, right?
Sorry, I was just muting myself. I no, I love that. That's funny, Snowflake. I was reading the chat here. So as for so when it comes to Forex, is there any other like anything else you want to go over that kind of like correlates to stock market trading or like things that you
Yeah,
yeah.
I do. So I'll actually put two charts next to each other, right? So we get the DXY on the left, and we've established that if the Dixie has upward pressure, it becomes more difficult for stocks to also run to the upside for an extended period of time. So if the Dixie is bullish and up, then a general bias on the stock market could be, okay, we're looking for shorts. Now, a chart to the right that I'll move in here is Euro USD, right? And you can pretty much just see on the monthly time frame candles that it is the inverse opposite. So for example, this bottom here on this right chart, September 2022, that is the top here on the Dixie, September 2022. And then when the Euro USD bounced up, that's when the Dixie went down. So really just knowing if this hits resistance and is likely to come down and taking a short on this, then you just know that, okay, a good way to do that is to long Euro, then that goes up. Now, this is truly the chart that you like need to pay attention to the most because if Euro US dollar is so it's inversely correlated to the Dixie. That means that if Euro US dollar is in a bull market, that is typically when you also see a risk on environment where stocks have an easier time moving up and where things like crypto and altcoins also have an easier time moving up. So the chart Euro US dollar, even if you're not going to trade it, it still makes sense, up to my opinion, to keep it on your watch list and to see are we bullish or bearish on this. Because it's only really when Euro USD is trending up that you can be confident in like going into altcoins for a period of time. And so that's really an odd thing, right? Where this Forex chart is giving you an idea of whether it's a good idea to actually get, for example, in crypto. So knowing if you're at support or resistance helps a ton. So if I'm looking at, for example, the Euro US dollar right now and the Dixie to the left, well, my bias right now, and I can just share my bias, right? My bias is that this chart on the left goes higher, so that the dollar goes higher, and that we're going to run into this monthly fair value gap, maybe at up to 1095 again. So if this goes higher, I know this goes lower. If this goes higher and hits the top end of that fair value gap, I'm thinking Euro US dollar goes down and maybe Euro goes back to a one on one. So that the price comes back to one, that €1 is $1. Right now, you can't get €1 for $1. So if we come back to one, it's going to be a nicer time also for the Americans with their dollars to come to Europe, for example. So if I'm bearish on this, bullish on this, I also know that now is not the time already for me to start buying altcoins and to go all in crypto because that is not the general environment in which that is conducive for. So we will need to wait to see some kind of top here on the Dixie, wherever that comes, and a bottom on the euro dollar, maybe a double top here on the Dixie and a double bottom on the euro dollar. And then that double top or that double bottom, when the moment euro dollar goes back up, that's going to be the start likely of a big bull rally in the stock market as well. So even if you're not going to trade euro US dollar, you can keep that chart or the Dixie on your radar, on your watch list, and just follow along, maybe develop a bias and see, for example, if it's playing out. Indeed, are we bearish? That's going to be not the environment where you want to be hyper bullish. When this thing goes up and is starting to break resistances, that's also when you're going to see the dollar depreciate in value a lot and people flocking to assets such as crypto, such as stocks, and all other currencies. So that's kind of like the main takeaway out of this whole class is that those charts, even if you're not going to trade them, they can help you a lot in determining for yourself, do you want to be aggressively bullish in this market right now or not? Just simply looking at those things. So, in my opinion, that helps a lot.
That's really interesting. I know because I know a lot of stock traders adly be like, oh, don't dabble in, don't mess with forex or this, that, whatever. But I'm glad that you have the open mind to to other alternative alternative finance ways. That's really cool. So did you see the chat? Look at Big Frosty. So Big Frosty just said they just did a forex trade work and I posted a pic. They just posted they posted
Epic.
in the profit channel. They just made some money off.
Nice.
Let me see which what was that? That was what is AUDCAD? I have no idea, to be honest with you.
So AUDCAD, right, is AUD stands for the Australian dollar and CAD stands for Canadian dollar.
Canadian.
So he's basically, we have the currency pair, like all of, like that's why I didn't want to be too complicated here yet by naming all these different world currencies and options to trade. But Forex is indeed very wide. So the Australian dollar compared to the Canadian dollar, that's also a currency pairing which you can trade. That's very nice, of course. Um, but for beginners, right? For beginners, I think the most valuable lesson here is that you need to be aware of where the dollar is heading to be an informed market participant and to create a general decent bias. And you will be able to catch on to this like really, really quick. Um, so I'm mapping out levels of support here on Euro US dollar and levels of resistance here on the Dixie. And if my levels of support or resistance get respected, I know, okay, that's really a time when something is changing in the market and this may start coming down, this may start going up, and maybe then also altcoins and stuff like that are going to do very well.
So I have a question because because this is brand, forex is really really new to me. I never like I think I bought like once or twice just like for fun, like to see what it was like. But I didn't really know anything about what I was doing. So I'm curious when it comes like you're this the AUD, the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar here. So how does it work when if you were talking about how you have like your one currency, I guess against the other? Is that so? Does that mean like you're buying in one currency and then like selling? How does that work when it comes to like the two different currencies? Like, and what do you? How does the profit and all that kind of work?
That's a very good question. The basically the thing is, I'm gonna try and explain this well. Again, I'm not an expert, and to me also exactly the mechanisms of how things work. To be quite honest, I never ask myself the question too much why or how. Like the only thing that I need to know is do I want to go long, short, and I'm not really asking myself these fundamental questions. But basically, if you are, so you have Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, you can take a long position or a short position, right? If you take a long position, means that you expect the value of the Australian dollar to go up in comparison to the Canadian dollar, and then the chart goes up. If you take a short position, you think that the Australian dollar is going to depreciate in value to the Canadian dollar, and this chart goes down. Basically, if you take a long position, right, you are you're buying the asset that you think is going to appreciate, so the Australian dollar, and meanwhile also selling the Canadian dollar. So it's kind of the pairing where you're buying the one and selling the other. If you're going short on Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, you're selling Australian dollar and buying Canadian dollars back. So that's kind of how it works. But again, the most important thing is just you can just see it as, for example, Bitcoin to USD. It doesn't really matter what stands here. The only thing you need to know is if the chart goes up, want to take a long position on my broker. If chart goes down, I want to be able to take a short position, right? And we map out just simple supports and resistances to play from. So exactly how it works, I think you might want to do a re-Google check on that as well. I'm not again, if you start about any kind of fundamental things, bro, I will have to black out.
No,
I'm just
that's not the point. The point
like
of this course was just to get to dig into your brain and what because we are we are planning on doing I'm going to do a very big deep dive and probably talk to Jay and yourself or your Jay, you and Bull and yourself and to kind of figure out how to make a class going over all kind of like what we do, the PBU courses, like what is Forex type deal. But this, honestly, I've been learning so much just from listening to you right now. This is all stuff I didn't know. And it's just I always thought, with Forex, you're buying and then you're selling a currency. I didn't realize that there's like two currencies involved, or I thought it was always like US dollar versus a currency. But now, where I'm learning that's not the case, and I think it's so cool that Big Frosty just made some money in Forex right now.
Exactly. And also, Big Frosty, thanks for the ticker. Maybe I can help you here to make some more money on this if you so if I'm looking at your ticker here, right? Australian dollar to Canadian dollar, right? I would just approach this like I would approach any other chart. So I'm just checking, right? I have 4-hour candles here. This is a support level, swing low. We go up and we made a swing high there, pretty much a double top. So this is a support level at 0.86245. If we're gonna fall below that, right, I would start using Fibonacci levels to determine where we're gonna go to. So I would take a fib from this low to the highest high there, and I would add in the 1272 and the 1618 Fibonacci extensions on a logarithmic scale, and that gives me two more levels. So those levels that I would mark out here, basically we can mark out those levels and see how it plays out, right? So 0.85703 is a level that could become support, and below that we have 0.85019. Now, if it's going to drop below all of these things, and if we're just looking for a long position here to keep it simple, if it drops below all of that, then let's just move on to the next one. But I think those levels, those three levels here to the downside on the 4-hour time frame, for anybody that wants to play that, those would be levels for me where I would take a long position if the market goes below my level and can manage to close a 4-hour back above that level, either here or here or here. So I'm not going to buy on the way down, but if this level gets tapped and we close a 4-hour back above it, or this level gets tapped and we close a 4-hour back above it, or this level gets tapped and we close a 4-hour above it, then that 4-hour candle close above the level. After going below, that would be my long entry. Stop loss under the low that they make below one of these three levels. And if we take a long here, then we target to this line, take a long here, target to this line. And if we get into a long here, then we can maybe go for 87 cents. And I'll actually trade this myself too. Like but just like you're making me so fucking excited, just giving me a ticker, I just immediately wanna map out the trading plan here. So I'm actually just gonna set alerts here and I'm gonna trade that as well.
I want to start getting into Forex now. We're about to start doing Forex alerts, JB.
Crossing down alert names. So those are 4-hour candlesticks. So I want to see the price trade into one of my support levels and then get back above it and close a 4-hour back above. So 4-hour. So I'm just gonna put alert on that line, crossing down.
4-minute play.
4-hour time frame. Crossing down, and also here an alert on that one, crossing down. So those are some ideas, Big Frosty, for levels to keep in mind. Maybe I'll put this in the chat and we can see how that plays out in the days to come.
I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole. I can already tell. I'm gonna start doing like live trading in like 3 months in the Discord.
Dude,
Forex.
Sign up with BingX, right? Sign up with BingX if you want. Let me just shamelessly and quickly give you a nice little invite link.
I see what you're doing.
or even if that's a problem, right? We just simply paste it on the chart. Simply paste it on the chart like this. There you go. Right on the screen for anybody watching this, right?
Oh no, yeah, you do that first. I'm curious though about what Big Frosty was saying about like the expirations and all that.
I don't know anything about expirations or about options on Forex. I don't know anything about an expiration on Forex. As far as I'm concerned, it always has a perpetual running date, so you're never forced to close a position. But maybe there are ways of trading it that there is an expiration date on. I don't know. Actually, that's completely new to me. And then Forex is like options, but they can have them expire from. Oh, he's Big Frosty. You're indeed you're playing like with expirations on your pairings. That's something that I've actually never seen before. And if you traded on BingX or the way that I'm showing you here, that's not the case. So You can get in a position, and if you want to keep it open for a week or a month or 2 minutes, you can do that as well. That's actually very interesting. I've never seen that.
Hmm.
See, that's why I'm not the expert at all. I can
No,
just give you some good levels to
no,
play
you
from.
you told
That's
us
my
you
job
you
here.
taught us a lot right here, honestly. um, okay, so we're at that 30-minute point. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. We can continue any questions and discussion in the Discord chat,
Yeah,
voice chat. Is that cool with you?
absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to say before we end the stream to those listening about Forex?
Bingx.com, ENUS invite TUTXFY. Thanks for playing.
Shameless plug. I love it. All right, there you have. That's our Forex stream. Those in the Discord, we're going to continue in the Discord. But for those of you watching after the fact, this is our Forex 101 stream. We'll be doing a lot more education, into Forex and the futures trading and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in, and I hope that y'all make some bread.